Hi, and welcome to another Heart to Heart Talk. I'm John Kuert, the interim pastor at Alpha Assembly in Clarion, Pennsylvania, bringing to you another one of these little heart to heart talks that come from my heart to your heart. I hope they're a blessing to you, and I hope they're sometimes challenging and sometimes uplifting and encouraging. But anyway, as you know, in recent days, we've been watching the news, and there are all kinds of evil pictures, violence, and hatred that is just unbelievable that's going on our campuses, our university campuses especially. And terrorism has become that new form of violence that's used as a way of compelling other people or groups into submission, to do it their way. We're going to force them, we're going to shove it down their throat. But terrorists can only succeed in this new war tactic if free people cower in fear and begin to restrict their treasured freedom and liberties. And with these continual threats of more violence, and who knows what could possibly happen, bombings and chemical warfare, and just all kinds of things, spreading a blanket of fear and paranoia that just puts us all in a state of frenzy and fear. It has us on our heels, looking over our shoulders, preoccupied with suspicion. And in these days, especially with the anti-Semitism, the Jews are especially like that. And not just looking over their shoulders, but looking out for head-on confrontations with these terrorists. But we should never succumb to terrorist-inspired fear. We can never allow such people to win. Instead, we must remind ourselves that as Christians, we can have continual peace and hope and joy. If we don't have the joy of the Lord, where in the world are people going to see it? And I know that's so easy to say, and it's you might think it's almost silly to say that, but it's true. And I was reminded of Joseph's ancient words to the then king of Egypt's imprisoned chief baker and chief cupbearer. He said this: "Why are your faces so sad today?" The antidote to all that's happening is joy, radical joy, like the Apostle Paul had. In the midst of life-threatening circumstances that would paralyze most people with fear and force them into hiding, Paul continued to live life every day to the fullest and took every opportunity to proclaim the good news of Jesus. And he was filled to overflowing with joy, the joy of the Lord, which the Bible says is our strength. And he just could not contain it. You say, but Paul wasn't living in the 21st century with the threat of this kind of terrorism. Well, let me tell you, the first century was not an easy time to live as a follower of Jesus Christ. If you were a Christian, you were living and ministering in a culture that was anti-Christian and hostile. Christians in those days were underdogs to the underdogs. Christians were looked down upon by the Greeks as foolishness. They were hated by the Jews. How about those tables being turned? They were hunted down and killed as heretics. They were threatened by the Romans, who were oppressive tyrants, killing those who had allegiance to Christ and not to Caesar. And Paul, as one of the leaders of this new religious sect called Christianity, lived every day with the threat of persecution, imprisonment, and death. And as he wrote the little letter to the church of Philippians, He was under house arrest, and he knew that at any moment his life could end abruptly. As a matter of fact, it did one day. But despite the hostile anti-Christian culture and his life-threatening circumstances, Paul was filled with joy. If he could do it then, we can do it now. Just read the little letter it's only 4 chapters long of Philippians. Read it. Underline every time you see some form of joy or rejoice or rejoicing. And see that Paul, even though he was imprisoned at that point, was full of joy. We can have it too. Because if Christ is in us, we have something that is far greater, more powerful than any forces in our world. And we have something the world can't give, the world can't take it away. And so be filled with joy and let it overflow. It's not happiness. It's not the same as happiness. Happiness depends on happenings, but it's about joy that comes from deep within, a welling up of joy, his joy that the world can see. Well, that's it, and I hope it's an encouragement to you and an exhortation that you will listen to. Thanks for joining me once again, and as always, I invite you to come and visit our church there, Alpha Assembly in Clarion, Pennsylvania. We would love to have you. Check out our Facebook page, alphaag.org, or our website, alphaag.org, or our Facebook page, so you can find out more about the church. In the meantime, have a great month of May. Here we are already in this year. God bless you, and have a great day. Bye-bye.